Okay, so it looks like the number of new participants joining has slowed, so we'll go ahead and get started. I wanted to start off because this is a question we get asked every time. Um, this presentation is available in ServiceNow. It was posted at noon, so not that long ago, and so I can understand if you guys haven't seen it yet. But we always make sure to post the presentations in WebEx. And so if you open up the calendar link to WebEx, you'll see a screen like this on your internet browser. And then you should have the passwords pre-populated from the link in the calendar invite. When you click View Info, a link to the PDF is going to be available there. So that's the same one that should be posted on ServiceNow. So this is just a little bit of a quicker workaround for those who are, trying to access the presentation. Okay. And then I wanted to get everybody started on our town hall today. Um, like I said earlier, my name is Corey Cortez. I'm with Fiscal CMO. And today we're talking more about the upcoming July 2020 release. And so this is going to be primarily, the content isn't that much different than the town hall that we had for the kickoff. However, we know that we've given uh, users more time to think through what the changes are going to be. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the support that we'll be offering post go live to make sure that you are supported as we go through the impactful functionality, especially when it comes to the PFA functionality updates. So we'll go ahead and get started in that throughout today, and this is going to be your opportunity to do Q&A. And in today's session, we're also going to talk through when you'll hear more information specifically about PFA and about cutover, because we've gotten some questions from departments about what cutover could look like, what's downtime going to look like, etc. We don't have all that information today, but we'll be able to give you a time when you'll be able to get that information. All right. So what we've been trying to do this time is we're changing it around a little bit. Um, we're based on some of the best practices that we've been seeing. We're trying to get everybody to use the webcam if we have it. Not all of us have it. It just depends on what we're given. But we do know that it can be helpful because if you see us, it's not just us talking through some screens. That wouldn't be as engaging. And so everybody on the call who's supporting you, we've got Nicholas Milani. He's the SEO Fiscal Sprint team for our milestone 4. So that's really around CBC Vac and some of the cache basis changes. So I'm going to give Nicholas a second. We're going to go through everybody to say a fun fact about ourselves. So Nicholas, would you like to start?
Sure. I guess a fun fact about me, my wife and I just had a baby boy on April 1st. So that's a fun fact about me.
I had no idea, Nicholas. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's an exciting time.
Yes.
And then I know Anthony, we're going to skip Anthony, but I'll give a quick fun fact about myself. In lockdown, I used to be a big person who's always about riding bicycles, and now I have reconnected with that in my kids during lockdown. So I have two, a little boy and a little girl, and I've been pulling them around town on the wagon and trying to get some exercise in a socially safe way. So they've been loving it, and I'm now preparing to do a ride around Folsom Lake. That's about 50 miles. I'm working up to it. Not quite there yet. Brianna?
Hi, everyone. My fun fact is I'm not very athletic, but then I tried playing football once, and then on my third practice, I dislocated my left thumb.
I'm sorry to hear that. How's it doing?
It's good now. I had to wear a cast for a few months and then had to go through therapy, but now I don't think about it anymore.
Nice. All right, James?
So yeah, a fun fact about me is I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts for about 10 years in my free time. I teach MMA and self-defense, and it's been an interesting transition teaching this online instead, because with mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there is zero social distancing. So it's interesting changing the curriculum up for a digital format. But if anybody can do it, I guess I'm the guy, right?
Yeah, James, I know you've been doing that a long time. I didn't know you were even a teacher. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want to get mixed up with you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and to keep this engaging for some of the audience, we have our Menti. And so if you guys can go to menti.com and on your phones, so I'll actually do the same. If you just go to menti.com, and then you can enter the code 827287. So it'll look something like this. And you can press submit. You can do that on your computer as well. And then you can go ahead and vote for which of us had the best fun fact.
Newborn should win the fun fact and going out with the family around Folsom Lake.
I mean, it's all for fun anyways. All right, so we're going to be using Menti throughout the presentation to get some feedback. We do have some more fun facts coming in. My buddy Mark has let me know that he did not vote for me. Thanks, Mark. Okay. So I'll go on to the next slide. That's not the slide I'm looking for. All right. So we're going to keep that Menti open. You guys can keep voting. I'm going to give a quick highlight of some of the functionality that we've already talked through in case you missed it or would like a brief refresher. When it comes into July, there's going to be 3 main areas of impact. So I described the first one as the Fiscal SEO legacy integration items. There's a bunch of interfaces between SEO and Fiscal that are going to be operational. Many of them already are, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but we're coming in with some new items. And then for CBC Vac, that is the cache validation appropriation control. That's kind of similar to the NSS that you get today. And we're bringing some of that up front in Fiscal so you get some more information about when you might receive an NSF and maybe to prevent that. And then finally, the big one for July is going to be the plan of financial adjustment interface. So some big changes to how you do PFA. And I know that doesn't apply to all departments, but there's about, I believe it's something like 75 to 80 departments that use a PFA. All right, so this is something that we haven't shared with you before. We know that this is going to be a big change, and we also know that departments, this is something that we got a lot of feedback on, that departments are already burdened with year-end close, and it's a big time for all of you guys. So we understand that, did raise that up with leadership, and we kind of have to deal with what we have. So to help you guys, we're going to be, and this is actually, my team's going to be running this, so it's a little bit different than the user support labs that you may get today. But this is only focused on the new functionality that's coming out with July. And so we have another process for kind of live functionality. And during the month of July, and perhaps even beyond, it's starting in July really, we're going to have these sessions where we're going to be on, we're going to have one-on-ones with departments, and so we'll have you guys kind of register to make sure we're focusing our advice and answering questions that might be specific to your department. And so these user support labs will be, they're kind of a replacement for our BPDs, and that's kind of what we're using them for, since you won't have the hands-on experience until after go live, and that's kind of a process by the fact that we couldn't invite users in. So sorry for that, but we'll have people from SEO available in these sessions to make sure that you get the right policy and understanding that you need to make sure that you can use the PFA functionality, or if you have any questions about the integrations or CBC Vac, we'll also be able to answer those. We're also working with Department of Finance to potentially have some of your DOF analysts there as needed. So we'll be working with them to kind of coordinate and make sure that all end users get the support that you need. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to this. This is going to be something big. Okay. And if you guys have any questions with this or anything else that I go over today, please let us know. We have our Q&A box in the WebEx to the right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with, hey Bree, were you able to add those slides in?
Yeah, they should be added.
Okay. I don't know if I have the latest version then. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to start with the Fiscal SEO legacy integration items. So this isn't in the presentation that you guys had, but I wanted to make sure that, and we'll probably end up updating the presentation on ServiceNow to include these. So when we started this, when we sent out invitations to this town hall, we made sure to include an invite link because that was something that a lot of end users were, or a lot of you guys were asking for. You know, just a way to ask us a question in advance to prepare the question answers a little better. So we made sure to send this out to everybody, and we're going to do this for all of the town halls going forward. So we'll start here. Just for the integration items, you guys asked the question. For the direct transfers that will be integrated, will these be done exactly as a DGS process where they are posted to the AP module? And the answer that we collected for you guys was yes, there's no change to the existing DGS direct transfer process for Fiscal initiated DTs. And so that is the Fiscal direct transfer process. We'll talk more about, I can highlight more about what the actual change is, but you shouldn't expect any changes to your AP module. How the vouchers are built for you when a direct transfer occurs. That's still going to continue. And the next question we had is, will departments be granted view access to these vouchers? Currently, we must download queries to view data by direct transfer process. And so, similar to what I was saying before, no, we're sorry. You'll have to continue to do the same process that you do today since we're not making any changes to the direct transfer process. That exists today. It's just with the interface that goes back and forth from SEO to Fiscal. All right, so to go back into what exactly that is, you know, the SEO integrated solution overall, it just ensures that accounting and Fiscal and SEO legacy are in sync. And you might have some of your transaction requests, those are just SEO journals. And then those just need to be reflected in Fiscal. And so you have outbound and inbound interfaces. So if you're talking about to and from Fiscal, you know, as Fiscal users, we're talking about, you know, Fiscal, so anything out of Fiscal or anything into Fiscal. That's how I think about it. And our goal is to make sure that we have the complete integration, and we're building it. We have already built and released many of these interfaces over the last 2 years, and so the July release one is going to be the last big one. So you'll see here on this slide. So this is, for those of you on the presentation, slide 9. We have a listing of all of the different transaction codes that exist today from both inbound and outbound. And you know, we had the warrant post issuance, so that we had the warrant book of record go live too. So Fiscal is the warrant book of record. So you have a lot of those codes that are now coming from Fiscal to SEO Legacy 2. So you'll see those with the new $sign. That means it initiated from Fiscal. And then in July, we've got the SMIF transfers, the loans and investments. You have pro rata, some of the direct transfer reversals that we were talking about. I'll get into that a little bit, and then advances. And then finally, down at the bottom, that PFA. So we'll get some more information on that as well. We had a question. It says the user lab in July will be virtual. Yes, at this time, you know, depending what we're given from our public safety or public health authorities, our current planning is to have those user labs in July be completely virtual. Okay. So let's get into advances a little bit. I'm sure most of you guys know what the advances are, but for those who don't, an advance is when a department records the amount advanced from their appropriation or fund to a service agency or fund. So those would be SCIF, DGS, or you could do it with ORF if you're trying to use the ORF fund, or just general, which is something different. It's just kind of the general group of advances. So how we got some questions about, well, is how I'm going to ask for or request the advance going to change? That's no change there. This is just for how it's recorded in Fiscal, so it's kind of at the end of the process. Still look out for some changes to returns of ORF advance. So we're going to be putting together some content around that. It's not quite ready yet, but when it is, and as those changes to returns of ORF advances come out, we'll let you know. And we'll also update the Fiscal Job Aid 176. It hasn't been updated yet, so just be on the lookout for that. All right, so you can kind of group the way advances are recorded in Fiscal into two different areas. There is the SCIF and DGS advances. So this is kind of the last step, I think, in the process, from my understanding of it. It's recording that advance in Fiscal, before you would record a GL journal potentially, and then you'd probably say, hey, FSC, can you create the budget journals on our behalf? You just don't need to do that anymore, since that'll all happen automatically. So that's just kind of some efficiencies for you. There may, similar to how all of the GL journals come in through Fiscal, you may have to do some reclassification. So that's just going to depend on the specific business process that your department follows in your GL unit. I keep seeing some questions come in, so please ask questions if you guys have it. I'm going to try to go through this kind of quick because I know it may be a lot of the same content that you've already heard, but there is something to be said about reinforcing it and making sure that you're getting all of your questions answered. All right, so now we're talking about SMIF. These are going to be recorded under the statewide BU000, and I don't have too much more to say on this one since we've already talked through. Hopefully, those of you with SMIF funds, or if you're fund administrators, you understand that there's going to be a change where we're going to be posting these to 000, and then we'll be giving you some sort of access and some sort of reporting capabilities to make sure that there really isn't any impact to your business. And those will be rolling out over the course of fiscal year 2020, so basically post-July. And the key thing here for if you are a fund administrator is that, within a department, you no longer need to record the catch-up GL journals, since those are all already recorded on your behalf in the BU000. And you should just be on the lookout for more information on this. I'm sorry I don't have anything ready for you today. Okay, so this is kind of with the direct transfers, because we got a lot of questions on direct transfers. So I just wanted to clarify a few things. Right now, the only department that uses the Fiscal direct transfer process is DGS, and so you'll see those with FGS. There will be some more coming on over time, but I'm not sure when that's gonna happen. And since I don't have the details, we decided to take that off because I think it was causing some confusion. Because when those other departments come on, there will be a need for those departments to work with other departments to make sure everything's all configured. So that's a separate thing, and there's a lot of activities that go on with it. The big thing to note here for the DGS, so these, the FGS documents, is that there really isn't any changes to your business process needed. It's just you continue to process direct transfers as you do today. And the only reason that this is going live is to make sure that SEO Legacy and Fiscal stay in sync, because there was basically, if I'm summing up, there was just previously the potential for a voucher to be stuck in some sort of build error. And then if it was stuck in build error for, let's say, 3 weeks, and the transaction had already happened in Legacy, now Fiscal and Legacy, they're no longer in sync. And so to fix that, a GL journal is coming in from Legacy to Fiscal, and then as soon as that voucher is built, or the deposit for DGS, it'll be reversed, and you don't need to do anything. So it's pretty hands-off. It works much like the calculators ones do. But you might see those GL journals coming in and out and being reversed. And so at the bottom, we say, you're still responsible for reviewing those vouchers. I know you don't have you have to do the same process you do today because you can't see them directly, but you'll have to keep doing that. All right, so it looks like we have a question. Bree?
The question is related to advances. Will the advanced transactions originate in Fiscal or in Legacy? Do we still need to submit TR letters to have returned advanced cash from the PY to the CY?
So the answer to that is these advanced transactions will continue to be initiated in Legacy. So whatever your current process is, keep doing it, and then we'll be interfacing those transactions inbound to Fiscal from Legacy.
All right, thank you, Anthony and Bree. Sounds like no change. All right, so we've got another Menti question, and this time I'm gonna switch it up. It is, what is your favorite vacation spot? Looks like Hawaii is a big one. I've only ever been to Hawaii one time, and the entire time I was there, it was raining, and it was very windy. I'll have to go back based on all these responses. My couch, I like that one. Not right now with the lockdown, but before the lockdown, I really like that one. I appreciate all the answers that we're getting. We have a total of 65 answers so far. That's pretty good. Fiji, that's pretty far. Wow. My mom was telling me about some cruises at the Bahamas, so I heard some good things about that as well. All right, we can go on to the next question. I know some of you guys might not drink either, but if you had to pick one, you like coffee or tea? I'm a big coffee person myself, although I do like tea. Something about just the nutty flavors of coffee gets me going. Oh wait, not this one yet. Let's stick here. Let's go back to our presentation. Okay. So let's get into some cash validation appropriation control. Similar to the SEO integration items, we also had some questions for the CBC Vac, and so I'll go through those. The first question we had is, will CPF SEO journals be done the same day as the warrant is generated? So the answer we got here was, this is a legacy process that will not change due to CBC Vac. If you guys have any more questions about that, we do have our SME on, so if you need a follow-up or anything like that, please ask. The next question that we had is, will there no longer be a lag period between the cash transfers and payment of the warrant? It's the same as before. This is no change. Next question is, at what point during the approval process will the cash validation check happen? After or before the approved by department, after or before approved by SEO auditors? If not passed, cash validation workflow will reset. So most transactions will be approved and posted before the CBC Vac check. However, that there are GL journals that get CBC Vac checked at the journal edit process. Transactions will pass CBC Vac with warnings. There will not be any that don't pass until departments are set to control. So we'll go more into that right now. There's existing validations, but for July, there are no changes to CBC Vac for most departments. We're going to be working with a group of pilot departments from DGS CFS to make sure that we, in July, to make sure that everything is working as we expect. But the initial release for you guys is just purely tracking. So as part of the July 2020 release, we're just going to be tracking the fund cash and appropriation authority. So you'll be, as you transact in July, you'll actually just receive warnings. And so those warnings, they should be taken seriously, because you might, if you see a warning, you might later on see an NSF down the line, but it could just be that Fiscal is a little bit out of sync with Fiscal or with SEO legacy. And so that's kind of what we're seeing here, is that before we go live with control, we will be doing a fairly thorough, similar to how we're going to have a PFA overview or interface overview town hall. We're only talking about PFA interface and all the details of it. We'll have something similar for you for CBC Vac. Like I said, before we get to control, and there's going to be different instances when workflow and how it's going to be impacted, and we'll go through all of the details there. And at this time, I'm just going to recommend you don't worry too much about it, since it won't have any impacts in July. All right, so getting back into the validation that currently exists, you might be familiar with this because you might have received something similar. As you use Fiscal to process payments today and transfers, like if you're using a transaction request, you'll get that over to SEO, and then for payments, SEO legacy might, the SEO will validate that there's enough fund cash and appropriation to cover that payment. And then for a transaction, if you do a GL journal, like a fund to fund, and they see there's not enough cash because they do the research, they won't approve you. They'll probably let you know that they're not approved for not enough cash. But in the future, that's going to be automated in Fiscal. So Fiscal will kind of let you, or let's get into SEO. So if SEO determines there's not enough fund cash, you just kind of get that void or NSF, or maybe they don't approve it or something. But after, in the future, that'll be kind of automated, and then you'll have those warnings right up front to let you know that there's going to be some sort of impact there. And so you'll see warnings if there's not sufficient funds in the CBC Vac. And so we'll let you know about all the new ledgers and everything that'll occur. But similar to today, if you have no budget, that'll just be an error. But that's no change from today. It doesn't look like we have any questions for CBC Vac beyond that. So we'll go into our PFA. And this is a big one because I know we get lots of questions about PFA. And I'd like to let everybody know that, and I'll repeat this again later, is that we're going to have our PFA town hall where we're going deep dive only into PFA, so nothing about the integration items and nothing about CBC Vac, and that is planned right now for June 1st. So you can kind of mark that on your calendar. The invitation should be going out soon. So what is a PFA? It's a way to distribute costs. So you allocate costs paid from one fund to another fund, and typically that's considered like the ultimate fund. And you can learn more about the details in the SAM section 8452. And so if you are one of the departments that has a PFA, you have gone through, and I know there's still a few departments, not many, that are still doing it. You've gone through to make sure that your Fiscal PFA validation configuration was established in Fiscal according to your PFA letter. And I know that was during this process, sometimes departments updated their PFA letter. And if that ever happens in the future, we'll just have to make sure that the configuration is done. And we have a whole process for managing that. But when it comes down to it, PFA eligible transactions are, if you have PFA LDs, if you have PFA allocations, and if you do your manual PFA online GL journals. And so today, in order to create, so you do most of your work in Fiscal, and then at the end of the day, you have to go and you have to run all these reports, and then you have to create this paper transaction request. So I know there's a big effort there. And then you actually have to you have to certify and send it to SEO. And so in July, and we'll get more into how that's going to be released, because it's going to be released kind of in a phased approach, but you'll have to tune in to our June 1st town hall, and that'll be recorded, of course, if you can't catch that one. To learn more about that. But starting in July, we're going to be transitioning over to having this new PFA interface review page that's going to allow you to do a lot of this work directly in Fiscal to be sent over. And so there's this page is going to help you when it goes live in our phase 2. You'll be able to select transactions, you'll be able to preview it with the SEO legacy values, and then you'll be able to review and certify the activity, and make sure all of your appropriations are selected so that they can undergo the category class and CBC Vac tracking. And then of course at batch, whenever the batch timings work out and everything's ready to go, they'll be sent over. And then you can also use the page to review your history because they'll have some reports kind of built into it. All right. So before I get too much more into PFA, it looks like there is some few questions on it. So I'd like to pause here. Some questions on this, and I think maybe some other items. So I'll pass it over to Brianna.
The first question is related to the interfaces. So with the new SEO interfaces, what is SEO's expected approval and or processing time moving into July?
So there shouldn't be any changes to the SEO start processing time. So basically, you can kind of refer back to your past experience last fiscal year. It should be something similar.
Okay, the next few questions are related to PFA. First one is there a job aid for the PFA tree updates? Corey mentioned that there was going to be a whole process about this. They're probably looking for more details.
Yeah, so I'll take this one. We did release a job aid for the PFA validation that was done if you were one of the departments that has a PFA and actually came into Fiscal to validate. And I believe now they're validating the last few departments. I think they're down to 5 or 6 or so from the 75 or 76 that there are. So we did have a job aid for that, and then we will be updating that job aid. I'll get you the exact job aid number. It's actually later in this presentation, where we'll be able to give you, we're going to add in all the rest of the PFA content into that as well, so it's more end-to-end.
Okay, great. The next question is there a way to verify auto PFA journal entries in the future?
Okay, gonna need some clarification on that question.
Okay,
Is there a way to automatically verify? Maybe it has to do with the reviewing and certifying. We can get some follow-up. So for the user that asked that, please give us more information.
And the next question is for the June PFA that should be submitted in July. Will this be done in the old or new process?
So that one's a little more complicated. There will be changes to the way that you submit that, and we'll have details for you at the town hall that's dedicated for PFA interface. but it will not be the way that you do it today.
Right, the next question is, can we still estimate PFA in July 2020? It took us months to complete year-end close prior to working on the new fiscal year period one.
Yes, you will still be able to submit estimated PFAs. And again, we'll have a process that we'll go over in the PFA interface town hall.
Then it also looks like we have one more question that was sent in the chat. So if you have questions, please continue to send them into the Q&A. This question is, the PFA allows departments to transfer expenses from one fund to another. Does Fiscal create the due to, due from when such journal entry is created?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, I'll repeat the whole question. PFA allows the department to transfer expenses from one fund to another. Does Fiscal create the due to, due from when the journal entry is created?
Okay, so I mean, these are, I don't know if it was clear that this PFA activity is going outbound to legacy. So you're going to continue to generate your PFA activity through your labor distribution, your allocations.
And then Anthony, when departments run their labor distribution, their allocations, or their manual online GL journals, will those create the due to, due from automatically?
Well, we're making changes to the due to, due froms in LD. But yeah, I think we just gotta defer this one to the PFA interface town hall as well.
Okay.
Looks like we have one more question related to PFA. Does the PFA have to be reviewed and approved before a department can close GL?
So I think the answer to that question is no.
And then we'll get more into the specifics because I think it'll be helpful because each of these questions has some context to it that we better answer when we're actually giving you the process, because we can actually give you the process to estimated PFA, and we'll get that on July 1st. So please be on the lookout for that. If you're a department liaison, please forward that to all of your PFA staff. All right, so we'll get more into these benefits. I mean, the end benefits are that there's going to be some new pages to help departments reconcile from SEO legacy all the way back to the source PFA activity. You'll be able to review, select, and certify PFA transactions directly in Fiscal, and then the PFA transactions will interface to SEO legacy the same night, depending on the batch, and that will eliminate the paper transaction request and SEO manual review. And then cache basis impact will be recorded for PFA activity the same day in Fiscal and SEO legacy, keeping the systems in sync. And so this is definitely for the PFAs that you're doing when you're writing up in paper that I think they're TC36s, and you send them out to SEO. All right, cool. So in this presentation, we've got links to our previous kickoff presentation. We've got links to the infographic, which I kind of showed you at the beginning. We have links to, if you were part of the PFA validation, there is a presentation specifically about what the validation does and how that was configured, because we kind of briefly touched on it at a high level with the PFA tree configuration. So I think, there was a question about, is there a job aid about that? I think the presentation is pretty helpful. And then in a job aid about the PFA, we've listed it right there. It's Fiscal 440. That's the Fiscal PFA validation process. We're going to make that more PFA validation end to end. So it'll also have the interface, or it'll be like a part A and part B probably, where validation would be part A, and then all of the PFA interface, how do I do an estimated PFA, or how do I, in the interim, how do I do my transition in July? That should all be documented there. because there will be a little bit of a transition that we need to do, and we'll go more over that in the PFA Town Hall on June 1st. We're going to be updating the Fiscal 176 for the return of ORF advances. We'll be doing, for Job Aid 245, I don't know if we're actually going to be updating that one because it turns out that, it's not turns out, DOF has a lot of their year-end close training that we're working with them to update. For Fiscal 391, we'll be talking through some changes about catch-up and how that's going to work after July. That'll be our next, not PFA Town Hall, but we're having a Town Hall, I believe, the week of, quick look, June 15th. So, and we'll be having a Town Hall basically every 2 weeks to make sure that, we're always engaging with you and we're always giving you guys the chance to ask as many questions as you need. So we'll talk more about the catch-up process later. And then the Fiscal 404, it's the same thing for AP. So you have your AR process. And there will be some changes to, I think there's going to be a new report for AR that you guys will be using for year-end close. We'll be talking more about that later too. And then Fiscal 451, it's reclassification. We'll be, updating that to represent some of the new transactions that are coming in. And that can include like pro rata and et cetera. All right, so that's kind of the end of our presentation. I know it was a lot of stuff that you've already been through, so we didn't get a whole lot of questions, but we wanted to make sure that we reiterated the changes to make sure that there was no misunderstanding and that we brought to you some of the questions that we were receiving. So we were able to do that. If you guys have any questions, we'll be here. In the meantime, I'd like you guys to provide us any kind of feedback. I'm not going to share this one. Oh, this is yeah, we can start here. So do you have any fun questions we can ask during our next town hall? We'll start with that one, kind of fun stuff we can use. Then according monk, a hunk, and chunk or chunk. I like that one a lot. I'd be happy to see the answers to that one. And if you guys have any additional fun questions that you guys can do, we will, be open to sending us anything fun or interesting you guys would like to engage. So maybe it'd be nice if we can get like a call in too. That'd be cool to hear people talk directly. But we'll keep at it. And any kinds of improvements or any suggestions that you guys have, you can always send to the Fiscal CMO mailbox. And then the next one we have, which I won't be sharing because I want to make sure that you guys you feel comfortable to give us feedback kind of anonymously. Good, bad, we take it and we try to improve. We had some feedback about some mic quality, so we tried to do as much as we could to enhance that. All right, and so the next question we have is going to be about what could we do to improve the next town hall? And so the next town hall we're going to have is the PFA validation, but please go to Menti, give us any kind of feedback you guys have. If, like I said, if you guys think we did something well, if we should keep doing that. If you guys liked our fun facts at the beginning, if you guys liked the Menti, you can let us know. If you guys want to see more of something else, or if you would like to see more town halls, I don't know if we're going to do less than every other week, but we might be able to do more, especially post go live. And then if you guys were hoping for any other additional types of user support after go live, that would be good. And then Bree, do we have it set up so they can send multiple answers in Menti?
I believe I can check.
Yeah, double check that one. All right, so I'd like to get into the upcoming town halls since I kind of hinted at it a few times during this presentation. While you guys can go on Menti still, and then while we wait for any new questions to come in. So, like I said, to help support you guys, that the plan is to have a town hall every other week through go live till 7/13 and potentially even after that. We'd be open to having more. We just want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time and you guys are getting the proper value from the town halls. We really wanted to make sure that we could share the changes coming in as most open way as possible. and give lots of opportunities to ask questions because we know that there is a lot of concerns around the SEO July release. So for the next town hall, that's on 6/1. That's going to be the PFA interview overview town hall. So that's going to be like our deep dive. We're going to give you all the processes, make sure you understand. We're basically going to be going over, step-by-step kind of stuff. And at that point, we should be able to give you some type of demonstration with the screens. We'll be able to give you what the transition is going to look like, post July 1st to do your PFA in the month of July, and then, what the ultimate solution, the full solution is going to be after. Kind of a phase 1, phase 2 thing we'll be able to get into. Then 6/15, and the dates listed here, I'd say that's more week of, because we're going to be balancing it. That's the feedback too. If you guys like this time slot, the Monday afternoon time slot, we seem to get a lot of users on this time slot, so it seems to be working. We tried a bunch of different time slots to see what worked best for the most amount of people, and we kind of landed on this one so far. But if we get a lot of feedback saying, we should do this on Fridays or something like that, we're open to moving it around. So you'll see these are on Mondays, but not a guarantee it's going to be Monday, just the week of. And so the town hall right after that, the 6/15, we're really going to be talking about what cutover is going to be looking like. We're going to be talking about some of the specifics of there's some accounting date changes that we need to be aware of. We're creating training content for it, but we really want to make sure that you guys understand that there is going to be kind of a before and after July type of thing, where you'll have catch ups and stuff using certain transactions will be just slightly different. And so we're going to go deeper into all of that in the 6/15. So if you have questions about what it's going to like, is Fiscal going to be down for a week? I promise it won't be down for a week. We'll give you all the details in 6/15, and then we're going to reiterate most of those on July 1st, potentially even a few days before we go live. July 1st is when the go live is, but we're looking at if it's going to be best to have that content a few days before to make sure that everyone's well aware before we hit that date. And then of course we're going to have town halls after, because we know that you might see some stuff that we need to share. So we're going to be using our command center post go live support to make sure that we're getting the best information to you. And any type of user support labs, like if we get a lot of questions from a specific department that we find valuable, some information that we need to share to everybody, we're going to do that in the town halls, so that way you guys can know that you're getting maybe some of the best practices or some of the key areas that we could advise you on doing something specific in that town hall. And then we'll look to have town halls as much as we need after go live to make sure that all the users are supported from the July release.
Corey, I think it might be helpful if you explain again where they can look at the presentation slides or where they can access them for now.
All right, so if you go to your calendar invite, and I've already opened mine, but if you go to your calendar invite and then you click the link to WebEx, you'll get a screen that looks similar to this. And then down here in the event materials, there should be a password that's already been filled in. And all you got to do is click the view item, and then you'll be able to see the presentation there. It won't have all of our Menti slides, and it won't have the questions, which we'll have to add in and put that on ServiceNow. But it is also available on ServiceNow if you search something about the July 2020 upcoming release town hall. If you search that in ServiceNow under the user support kind of tag, it's also available there. All right, and so it looks like we're getting a slowdown of questions. We do have this time through until 3, but we won't continue, and we can let you guys go if we're not getting any more questions about it. If you have questions, you can always reach us. So this is that we actively monitor it. We try to connect SMEs with you guys to make sure that you get the answers that you need. Please email fiscalcmo@fiscal.ca.gov, and you can contact us. And we also take any feedback if there's something that you guys think of or what you'd like to see or we're seeing too much of. You can always send it that way too. We're going to continue to use Menti. Seems like we're getting some good feedback on that. I checked the feedback; it looks good overall. You know, I'm also getting a new mic too. It's on delay, so hopefully that'll help with some of the. I know that it picks up some clicks and stuff, so apologize for that. All right, guys. Since looks like we do have one question, so I'll pass that.
The question is, will the answers to the questions asked during this town hall be posted in ServiceNow?
All right, so we don't have or we haven't yet transcribed any of the answers from the video, but what we always do is we always make sure to post our video recording in the YouTube. So actually, let me just open that up and show you guys. So, I mean, I just opened up Fiscal, and then you can just click enter. Okay. Or I opened up YouTube. You can search Fiscal. And then if you do that, you'll see us at the top. You can go ahead and open that. And then if you go under playlists, so we're actually going to be adding in all of our town halls into a separate playlist similar to this, where it says November 2019 release. It'll say July 2020 release. So we'll have a new playlist. In the meantime, the videos, if these are sorted by the newest, you'll see here, this was our March release town hall, and we try to post all of our town halls online. And so we'll make sure we're doing that. And that's where you'll be able to see these recorded in the future. In the meantime, what we always try to do is we always try to take questions that we get and incorporate them into the content a little bit or talk about them in the next town hall. So you can always look for new answers that way as well. And then we also note these things, and we're intending to incorporate answers to all of these questions in the job aids. And if we see a question that happens a lot, we also add an FAQ in the job aid as well. It just depends on if it's a one-time question, which we'll just try to add the detail to make sure it's included, and if it's a question we get often. So. All right, it doesn't look like we're getting too many more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and go off mute and give it a few more minutes, or go on mute and give it a few more minutes, and then if we're not getting any more questions, we'll just give everybody their time back. All right, looks like we're not getting any new calls or new questions. So I'm going to say everybody have a great week. We'll connect again for the PFA content, and we'll give you some video and deep dive on that demonstration and everything that has to do with PFA. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great week.